What's up, y'all? Good morning. Push day to day and staying with the high volume route, hitting chest and shoulders as I have triceps. Sometime this weekend, either tomorrow or Saturday, rather, or Sunday, one of the two. Depends on how my schedule at work shakes out, but right now, planning for tomorrow. So, again, like I said, staying with the whole high volume route. I usually have been going lighter with my push sessions because I have some issue with my shoulder. Now, I do band pull aparts over and backs to try to get that shoulder warmed up. But if I haven't gone to see the chiropractor just to get some stretching done and, get back in alignment, then it kind of takes a couple of weeks to get out of it. So we're coming up on about the last month or so of a training cycle before Ramadan starts. I was going to deload, but I'm just going to go straight through now. So stuff is starting to ache, and my shoulder is one of them. So that being said, not going to do a ton of movements, but just going to do more sets. So hammer incline, flat dumbbell press, another plate loaded press, usually probably the Rogers chest press, and then get in some flies. So that's going to be chest, and then for shoulders, it's going to be nothing fancy. Early. Get in some dumbbell laterals, then go ahead and some rear laterals, and maybe some type of press, more so for illustration purposes than anything. I really don't dumbbell press these days, at least for shoulders. So with that being said, it's early, weekend's coming up, so I'm going to try to get this video out today, which would be Friday. But if not, please charge it to my head, not to my heart. I get a little bit busy, but I'm going to keep working. All right, let's roll. All right, something to keep in mind that I did with this workout is that I didn't record any warm-up sets. It's kind of worthless at this point in my YouTube progression journey, what have you. So we went straight to the work sets, 3 sets here with 3 plates, and then drop it down to 2 and a 25. So I want everybody to understand that with volume training, there's two ways to approach volume training. You can go heavy as hell for lots of sets and low reps, or you can do that for a couple of sets, low reps, and then back off and really just emphasize the tension on the muscle. So I want it to be perfectly clear that mechanical tension builds muscle. Load does play a huge part of that, but understand that mechanical tension, the tension that the muscle feels from the load that you have on the body, is going to dictate the amount of muscle that you have, right? So making sure you emphasize the eccentric, making sure you emphasize the contraction, make sure you maintain tension on the muscle throughout the movement. So that will not require heavy weight all the time. Now, that being said, the density, the thickness that you need to succeed on bodybuilding stages, or to just intimidate the hell out of somebody in public, you're going to need muscle for that. So what I recommend is that you have your phases of handling heavy weights, and then you have your phases of handling moderate weights but increasing tension. So what do I mean by that? As you can see here, this is one way to increase mechanical tension, is to do a cluster set. Usually I do 6 sets of 4. Today I didn't have it, but I did 2 rounds of cluster sets to ensure that I just really exhausted the muscle and maintained, put some type of mechanical tension on it. Also, when you saw me doing my quote-unquote lower weight sets, back off sets, what have you, for the hammer incline, go back and rewind it, I want you to look at how much I maintain tension in that. Much better than the heavy sets that I did with 3 plates aside. So while being strong is great, and I think strength is a skill that it should be built, understand that it has limited applications when we're talking in terms of muscle growth, right? Again, load plays a role. It plays a tremendous role, but I want you to understand that load is not the end all be all, and beating the logbook is not the end all be all, because what happens when you get banged up, what happens when you get old, what happens when you get injured, what happens when you can't do those movements that you used to progress on, they're just out of the cards for you. Well, you got to find something different to do. So it could be working within a higher rep range. It could be working within movements that are a little bit more metabolically taxing. It may mean you need to go to full body instead of a split routine. Those are things that you need to think about in your training. Okay. Again, mechanical tension builds muscle. It absolutely builds muscle. But I don't want the knowledge that mechanical tension builds muscle make you a bitch inside the gym. So please be aware of that. Now, a quick word on volume. Intra-set volume and overall set volume, in my eyes, are two different things. So what's intra-set volume? The cluster sets that you saw me do on the Rogers chest press is a sample of intra-set volume. You have one big round, one big set of 4 mini sets inside of that. So in my eyes, that contributes to the overall volume. So I did about 2 rounds counts as 2 sets, right? But again, that's intra-set volume. It only accounts for 2 sets of overall volume. So that's something to keep in mind, so you don't overshoot what you're trying to accomplish in the gym volume wise. They're great intensity techniques, but again, if you're looking for a high volume route, those are perfect. If you're going for the low volume route, those are good too, because if you want to only do 1 round and you want to do a 5x5 cluster or a 5x3, that's perfect too. But know that cluster sets contribute to intra-set volume and not necessarily overall set volume. All right, chest is pumped, going real strong, feeling good, feeling great. Now we move on to shoulders. So the thing about people need to understand about shoulders is that your options are really limited. Lateral, rear lateral, variations of those, presses. Very simple, right? But I think we just complicated up. I saw a post yesterday on Instagram that wanted to make my fucking head explode. So basically we're just going to work on those 3 planes. We're going to do a side lateral, we're going to do a rear lateral, and then we're going to do a press, and then we're going to go home. So that being said, it's going to be it's going to be high volume for that particular body part. One thing I didn't touch on is how volume is dependent upon a body part. So what's high volume for chest won't be high volume for shoulders. What's high volume for legs won't be high volume more or less for back or something like that, right? So we'll get into shoulder. Now moving on to shoulders. No triceps today, by the way, just to let you all know. Shoulders is one of those body parts that, again, you only work within certain planes of movement. So a lot of the movements that you do are repetitive and they work within the same plane. You got a lateral, you got a rear lateral, you got a press. Variations of that in between. But please keep in mind that while you can have a ton of variety, you don't have a ton of variety. So I just choose to keep it simple. I choose 3 exercises and I just did a bunch of sets. So I emphasize 4 sets apiece on these movements, really working hard. And again, deltoids are a body part that I believe responds to medium to high reps. You can do low volume and you can do heavy weight because it's actually a pretty strong body part. But also keep in mind that, again, to get that nice full round cap shoulder look is going to need a lot of blood inside that muscle. I have decent shoulders. I have a decent V shape, but I look like an orangutan with my shirt off. So that means I have a decent amount in my midsection, if you haven't noticed. So obviously my shoulders do not look capped and I don't look very wide. However, when the fat comes off, my shoulders are pretty round. So please keep in mind that I do have the real estate to be able to give you shoulder training advice, despite the fact that me not looking very wide in that area. But trust me, I'm actually still trying to get bigger. So bear with me on that. Rear laterals. So I prefer machines and dumbbells to do this. I no longer do face pulls. I think it's a worthless exercise for hypertrophy purposes, muscle building purposes. But what I do like to do for rear delts is I like to do high reps. So I'm talking sets of 12, 15, 20, 25. With this machine, the main thing that you want to focus on is that you want to, in regards to a rear fly on a machine, you definitely want to keep the cue in your mind, elbows up, because that's going to help you focus and maintain tension on that rear delt. You get a lot of rear delt in your back exercises, but the thing that people need to also understand is that you can lose a lot of that tension if you go too heavy. Rear delts are a body part that doesn't require a shit ton of weight, but like a lot of tension. So please keep that in mind. And as far as pressing goes, no dumbbell pressing, went with a plate loading machine. Just a simple 4 sets, working really fast and trying to work up into that double digits. But I was starting to hit failure at 8 as we progressed into the workout or into this movement. So understand that pressing is not necessarily needed for optimal deltoid development. However, again, mechanical tension is, and this was one movement that gave me what I was looking for. So quick primer on some push, some chest, high volume work, making sure that I get the reps in, making sure I get all those sets in. For chest, I did about 15 sets, and then for shoulders, I did about 12. So that's about it. Make sure you consume your carbs, make sure you have your intra-workout shake, and push really hard and pump that blood into the muscle. So Tenacity Strength out for the weekend. Y'all have a good one. Like and subscribe to the channel.